Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, the place to come to get what you need to move yourself forward. Hey, it's Mary Baker, and welcome to episode 287, Why Courage Doesn't Work Without Connection. Welcome to a brand new month where we're going to be focusing on how to grab that courage you've been looking for to make those changes you've been talking about for a while. Over the years, and still today, I study self-confidence and what gives people the impetus to just go after what they want and need, to finally honor themselves and do the hard work to change. So I'm always observing and learning and researching and talking to people and talking to clients about what is helpful, what is necessary, and what gets in the way. Well, today we're going to talk about something that I think might flip a long-held belief on its head, that courage is only a solo act, that we're supposed to be brave all on our own, tough it out, push through, and face our fears without leaning on anyone. But what if that belief is not only wrong, but deeply harmful? What if courage requires connection? Well, this episode is about the ways our early experiences, especially in families that couldn't give us the support we needed, set us up to believe that we have to go it alone. We'll look at how that kind of upbringing wires us for self-protection over self-expression, and how it erodes our belief that we're allowed to be supported, seen, and safe. Before we get into that, I want to remind you that along these lines, if you need help and support and encouragement and guidance and someone to be there with you when you're walking through this stuff, I am right here. You can book a power hour. You can download a free resource. You can grab one of the more in-depth courses that I have in the show notes. And so be good to yourself. And like we're going to talk about today, don't try to go it alone. Let's get into it. So if your caregivers couldn't attune to your needs, emotionally, physically, or otherwise, you learned one thing very quickly, and that is that it's not safe to need others. And you may not have realized this. A lot of this stuff, like we've talked about here before, can really be subconscious. But you might have grown up believing, if I ask for help, I'll be disappointed. And it only takes a couple times for that to happen as a kid for you to make that decision, that you shouldn't put your needs out there for others. Another one is, I have to be strong to survive. And maybe you really did. Maybe there were very good reasons why you had to do that. And finally, needing others makes me weak or needy. And those messages don't just live in your thoughts. They get wired into your nervous system. You actually develop protective strategies that become habits. Ones we've talked about here on the show plenty of times, like people-pleasing, over-functioning, perfectionism, or, hiding, avoiding, or procrastinating. All of these are adaptive responses. They're your brain's way of keeping you safe. But those protective strategies like shutting down, avoiding risk, or trying to just do everything by yourself, they don't just protect you from pain. They also quietly limit your potential. I think they get in the way of courage. Because when we grow up in environments where support was inconsistent, maybe unsafe, or just not there, we internalize the idea, the belief, that no one will catch us if we fall. And maybe we have actual experiences of that happening. So we stop trying to leap. We stop raising our hand, going after the thing, or being emotionally honest. We learn how to play it small, not because we don't want more, but because deep down, we don't believe we're allowed to have the support we need to sustain it. So we stay safe by staying stuck. I think we trade momentum for control. Let that one sit with you for a moment. Momentum for control. And oftentimes we don't even realize we're doing this. And it can look like being super independent, like being the strong one. But inside, how lonely is that? And we're exhausted. And we're wondering why we can't seem to push through. The truth is, without safe, solid connection, our nervous system will keep hitting the brakes, even on the things we say we want. So let's talk about what gets labeled as self-sabotage. Maybe you talk yourself out of big dreams. You find good reasons why you can't do that or go there or whatever. Maybe you procrastinate even though you want to move forward. Or maybe you just find ways to shrink back in moments when you want to speak up, you want to try something new, or you want to take a risk. And here's the thing. That's not because you're lazy or you're broken. It's because your body remembers. And your inner wiring has associated risk with danger, not opportunity. You might have heard or gotten the message, be brave, when you were growing up, but not felt emotionally supported to be brave. So that contradiction runs a lot deeper than we think. Because when you're told to be strong, take a risk, push through challenges, do your best, but you're also left to do it alone, without encouragement, without the guidance or the emotional safety you needed, it just creates internal confusion. On the outside, you may appear very capable, maybe even fearless to some people. But on the inside, your nervous system never learned how to feel safe while being vulnerable. You were asked to leap without a net. And over time, this disconnect wires in a message. It's not okay to need help. I'm only worthy when I'm performing or I'm achieving. That is a really lonely place to live from. And when fear shows up, as it always does when we're stretching into new territory, your brain remembers that being brave felt like being abandoned. So instead of taking the risk, you freeze, or you overprepare, or you talk yourself out of it. Fear gets the last word, not because you aren't brave, but because you were never supported to be brave in the first place. But here's the truth. Courage doesn't mean going it alone. It doesn't. I like the idea that courage grows when it's watered. Watered by encouragement, belief, and safe connection. I think it really starts to thrive when you rewrite the story, not just by pushing yourself harder, but by letting in the kind of steady, trustworthy support you've always needed. So instead of leaping forward, we end up looping backward. We stay in our comfort zone. But here's the good news, this can change. I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't believe that. So let's go back to your brain for a moment. So your brain is designed for connection. Did you know that? Real courage, the kind that shows up in relationships, in our goals, our boundaries, and our vulnerability, can only be sustained when we feel safe. We will not do these things until we feel safe. And safety comes from connection. The ventral vagal nerve that we've mentioned here before, and that's in your parasympathetic nervous system, calms your body when you're with someone safe. It tells your system you're not alone, It's safe to be you. You can rest, or guess what? You can have the balls to take the next step. That's what we call co-regulation. What it means is that your nervous system literally syncs up with another person's. When you're around someone calm, someone emotionally present, grounded, your brain and body take cues from theirs. You begin to settle. Your heart rate slows, your breathing evens out a bit, your stress hormones decrease. So basically, we borrow calm from others until we can build it for ourselves. Isn't that wild? And this is so important when we're facing fear, uncertainty, or, that pressure to make that big change. Because when we feel truly seen, really heard, and feel supported, our threat response, the part of the brain that says danger, our limbic system, starts to turn down. And when that threat response eases up a bit, we can gain access to the prefrontal, our higher brain functions. And that's where all the decision making and emotional regulation, all the planning, all the big picture thinking, that's where all that is. So belonging doesn't just feel good. It helps us function. And when I went to some trauma trainings recently, they really keyed in on that belongingness as a very important factor. Because it's not just about emotional comfort. Guys, it's about biological safety. When we feel connected to someone safe, our brain says, okay, I'm not in danger. I can think clearly. I can try something new. Hey, I can even take a risk. That's because that's the real magic of belonging, I think. It's such a foundation for courage because it gives your system permission to move forward instead of freeze. And over the years, and I know I've mentioned this in the past, but I would watch people get into some kind of group setting where they met some new friends, new coworkers, grabbed a support group, maybe a group that I was facilitating, and I would watch them start to make the big changes that they've been wanting to make for a while, but they needed healthy support. That's why I preach about it so much here on the show, because you can't do anything great in your life or for you unless you have healthy enough support around you. It's not going to be safe. And I love watching people, as soon as they grab some good people around them, that they start making changes. Just like the group I have going now for the course, the Find Your Voice course. We have group coaching going on. And to watch them support each other and to see the bravery and to see them take a risk here and make a change there is so powerful. And they couldn't do that without each other. Because courage is a team sport, okay? So what does this mean for you today? Well, let's take a minute to reflect on what I'm talking about here. I'm going to give you some questions to think about. And if you're in a space to write down your answers, that's wonderful. But if you're driving or walking or whatever, don't worry about not being able to write them down right now. I just want you to pay attention to what organically comes up when I ask them, even if you don't like that answer, especially if you don't like that answer, because that is your truth coming up. And the beginning of this work is all about uncovering, I think, and getting real with ourselves with compassion. Okay, here we go. You ready? Number 1. When have I felt most brave in my life? Was I truly alone in those moments? Or did someone's belief in me help me take that step? When have I felt most brave in my life? Was I truly alone in those moments? Or did someone's belief in me help me take that step? Number 2. Who in my life today helps me feel safe enough to be fully myself, flaws, fears, and all? What would it feel like to lean on them just a little more? Who in my life today helps me feel safe enough to be fully myself, flaws, fears, and all? And what would it feel like to lean on them just a little more? Three, where do I still try to go it alone, even when it's hard? And what keeps me from reaching out? Where do I still try to go it alone, even when it's hard? And what keeps me from reaching out? Number 4, when I think about asking for help, what emotions come up for me? Is it shame? Fear of being a burden? Worry about being let down? When I think about asking for help, what emotions come up for me? Is it shame, fear of being a burden, or worry about being let down? Five, what would it look like to begin rewriting the message that I got growing up about being brave and needing support? What would it look like to begin rewriting the message I got growing up about being brave and needing support? And number 6, what's one small courageous step I could take this week? With support, not without it. What's one small courageous step I could take this week with support, not without it? And what might become possible if I keep doing that? And what might become possible if I keep doing that? Okay, so what came up for you? Any surprise messages, or did you already kind of know all this? My encouragement is, whatever came up for you, know that it's just your truth. It's not there to beat yourself up with. It is just information. And also remember, like we've talked about today, if you do struggle with this, you came by it honestly and it's not your fault. Because it means if you've struggled with courage, maybe the missing piece wasn't grit. It was connection. And it's not too late to build that kind of support you've always needed. Whether it's a coach, a safe friend, a therapist, or a small group that gets it, I think your courage needs a container. Because when we feel supported, we take more risks. When we feel believed in, we believe in ourselves. And when we're seen, we show up. And that is how I think real change happens. Not through white knuckling it all alone, but I think by finding our people and letting them help carry some of the weight. You weren't meant to go it alone. You never were. And courage doesn't start with try harder. It starts with who's in my corner. And if you don't have those people yet, start with being honest about needing them. Let yourself want more support, deserve more support. Wanting connection isn't weakness. It's actually wisdom. So today we talked about how so many of us believe that we should be able to be brave on our own. That courage is something we're supposed to summon from within without asking for help, without needing anyone. But what if that idea is quietly keeping us stuck? What if it's a big part of the problem? Well, today we talked about what really fuels courage and how our early experiences with connection, or normally the lack of it, can really shape how we move forward when life gets hard. If you want to work through this with guidance and support, check out my Find Your Voice program. Guys, I built this for this reason. And it's based on all of the group work that I've done over the years and all of the one-on-one work I've done with folks over the years, recognizing what they need to work on, like addressing needs and healthy boundaries and being assertive and having healthy support around you and figuring out your purpose and who you really are at the core. That's what that program is about. If you have questions about any of this, please reach out and we can figure out just what you need. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope this episode helped you have more compassion for yourself and understand maybe why you struggle. And hopefully, if you have some healthy folks in your life, you're reaching out and asking for help and being there for them too. And if you don't, let me know. We can find you the support that you need. Okay, so pay it forward, keep focusing on you, and I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you could begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.